Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, good morning everybody. It's lovely and noon there and everybody's probably munching lunch, and please feel free to eat or drink tea or do whatever you need to do. This is very exciting, isn't it? I love this Zoom. So I thought I would open with, I had pretty much 14 amazing years around a mandali. We would go up to Abode every weekend on a Friday night, and we would return on the Sunday night if it was a long weekend on the Monday. And Francis generously opened Abode to those of us that wanted to be there and stay and didn't have anything else in life, and that was our life, to stay on Abode, a country property 100 miles from the nearest city. And in those days it took the same amount of time as it took Baba to get there, 3.5 hours. Eventually along came a Prime Minister who changed that and built a freeway to his peanut farm that was just north of Abode, and from then on it only took us an hour to get up there. And we stayed in the meeting hall, which was then called the bunk house, and the boys were just outside in bunk beds, and the girls had two strange sort of shaped bedrooms. There was one that was sort of for a couple with children, and there was another we somehow squeezed 3 or 4 beds into. I'm really talking tiny, like 8 foot by 6 foot, and we'd all just sleep there. And we would start with the meal on the Friday night, chop vegetables, make tea. I mean, it was really an amazing life. Cold water, no hot water, a tiny little 2-part stove, electric stove, that we would cook for 12 to 20 people on, chop vegetables all day Saturday for vegetable soup. And on the Sunday, big slabs of bread were toasted and the soup was mushed up and spread on the bread with some cheese. It was pretty simple days, and we got the feeling very much of how simple life must have been for Francis in his 10 years in India, because we continued that type of simple life there. Not so these days. Abode is very, very beautiful, and lots of accommodation and lots of places to stay. It's incredibly beautiful. So I thought I'd open with that which Baba had insisted on Francis writing from before he even went to India, and that's Stay with God. Thou stone cutter and gem cutter, thou potter and breaker of pots, thou upturner and returner, thou upheaveler and leveler, thou bender of what is straight, and thou straightener of the bent, thou Baba, thou lovely woman and glory man and child, thou moon night, thou star night, thou dawn swept with stars, thou morning of sun, thou alone doer, thou adorable and adored, thou stone cutter and gem cutter, thou potter and breaker of pots, thou upturner and returner, thou upheaveler and leveler, thou bender of what is straight, and thou straightener of the bent, thou Baba, thou lovely woman and glory man and child, thou moon night, thou star night, thou dawn swept with stars, thou morning of sun, thou lone doer, thou adorable and adored, thou us, thou sound?
Perfect.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank goodness for Bill Gannett, my sound engineer Carl Resnikoff, who loaned us the equipment, and Joe. Joe Stewart jumped in at the last minute to help us. Thank you, Joe. This is the Coda that was from Stay With God. This is from the Coda of Stay With God. If you can't get through Stay With God, just read the Coda. And Francis and words, a million words pecking at my brain, he says somewhere. What can we say about the court poet of the Avatar? Amazing. Stay with God in whatever shape He shapes you, and work your work within the boundaries of that shape. Art is the shape of you, singing light through your hands, through your speech, imagining His image. Stay with God. Let the dream out the staying and the going of your form or your millions of forms. For they are not you. Whoever stays with God, stay with God. This is an unusual guzzle. It's a 5-couplet guzzle. I need a napkin. Okay. Something's dinging my guitar here. It's a 5-couplet guzzle. It's not really published anywhere. And we had a phase where we were, or Francis had a phase introducing, he was always introducing music to us. At the back of the barber house, he lived behind a curtain in the barber house at first, at Avatar's Abode, when he came back in 1969. And we met him just a few months after he came back, October or November 1969. But at the back were bookshelves, and the entire width of the barber house were record albums, LPs, Mexican music, Spanish music, Greek music, bolero conducted by Ravel, Beethoven, Bach, folk, blues, every LP one could imagine. And he would have musical nights once a month and introduce us to a variety of what I consider now, I am a world musician, I do world music. And so this was our Troubadour phase. The Troubadour phase never really went away. We had some fantastic albums from France and Canada, a lot from Canada, of experts in early music, Bernard de Ventadorn and the troubadours of the French courts. And this melody comes from that influence. Once more comes round this joyous day of days. Once more comes round this joyous day of days. And you within our hearts sing your own praise. And you within our hearts sing your own praise. But what is praise unless good work is done? But what is praise unless good work is done? And that means sacrifice of all that's won. And that means sacrifice of all that's won. Once more comes round this joyous day of days. Once more comes round this joyous day of days. And you within our hearts sing your own praise. And you within our hearts sing your own praise. But what is praise unless good work is done? But what is praise unless good work is done? And that means sacrifice of all that's won. Yes, that means sacrifice of all that's won. as the wine shop shuttered, and he sleeps. Still as the wine shop shuttered, and he sleeps. And he leaves to reach the sowing that he reaps. He leaves to reach the sowing that he reaps. Francis, enough! This vintner debonair, this vintner debonair, gives rise to wealth and hopes and rich despair. Gives rise to wealth and hopes and rich despair. Gives rise to wealth and hopes and rich despair. Jai Baba. I always like to include this song. It comes from a piece Francis wrote called The Birth of a Nation in 1956. And of course the birth of a nation is when the Avatar's feet touch the soil of that nation. And we don't have a melody for it. I found it in my old songbooks. My old songbooks, oh yes, my old songbooks are as old as I am. This was the first one, and I jotted down. I like to handwrite things because I memorize, and if I handwrite something I can usually memorize it. And so eventually Francis started buying me these exercise books which were for school children, and I would enter the songs in these books. There are 6 of them altogether, and as the songs would come out I religiously dated them and everything. I felt a bit insecure and a bit unworthy, so I felt this was my job. I had a job until I eventually was suggested that I do learn to sing properly and go to the conservatoire and became more confident of a singer. So read The Birth of a Nation. It's online on avatarsabode.com. And it's written by Robert Rouse. Robert Rouse and Lorna Rouse helped Francis. They were young ones as far as he was concerned. They were bohemian and very well educated and very well read. And Robert started singing music, and Francis would send letters back to encourage the group to learn to sing and to sing songs and put all of the words to music. So this is Waiting for 56 by Robert Rouse, who he and Lorna eventually lived on Avatar's Abode when Francis, after Baba went there in 1958 with another family, the Bruford family, whom you've all met. The tree roots creep on the forest floor, the red dust roars on the Nullarbor, just waiting for 56. That's the birth of a nation. That's the birth of a nation. When the God-man came, when the God-man came. Cement and steel arched in hope, for real destiny the people grope, waiting for 56. That's the birth of a nation. That's the birth of a nation. When the God-man came, when the God-man came. At Mehera house his love struck deep. He left a crop all Australia will reap, waiting for 56. Avatar came for a short while, and now he waits with a gentle smile, waiting, waiting for the birth of our love, for the birth of our love. For the God-man came, and he came to stay. Stay, Baba. By 1973 we went off to India with Francis. Rano had come at some point earlier in the piece, in the early 70s, to try to talk Francis into coming back, but by then we had all gathered round Francis, and the work that he felt Baba wanted done was being done with us young ones. And so off we went to India for the first time an entire group, nearly 40 people, with Francis, him coming back to Marizad for the first time. And one of the songs that came out of that, when we came back, we started writing plays and things, was this fun song. So I'll do a cappella songs here and there because I have a bung wing. Pardon me, boy, is this the train to Amanaga? My foot's caught in the line, and I don't feel like dying. There's gonna be quite a party at the station, so help me up there. There's not a second to spare. Now thank you, my boy, I'd have been a whole lot sooner if only I could find my way out of Pune. I'll be so glad when at last I reach Mehera. Oh, train to Amanaga, won't you choo-choo me home? If we reach the station at 8:45, eat the future parties, everything's fine. I hear chugga chugga, I'll even kiss and hug you when we see that sun come up in Amanaga. When you hear the whistle blow, I'll wave ta-da, then you know that Mehera is not very far. You shovel all the souls in, you gotta keep a rolling. Choo-choo, Naga, here we are. Fun, huh? A guy called Chris Ware wrote the words to it. I'll do a guzzle because I mentioned the Troubadour Phase. So we all got records with the Troubadour tunes, and they were sort of modal and kind of easy to sing and easy to remember, and they'd buzz in your head all night, the melodies. And Francis had a tremendous skill of putting words to old melodies, which, as we know, he had to do for the East-West Gathering very quickly. So I got into this habit, having known hundreds of songs from being a dancer when I was young and listening to records over and over. And so I tried to borrow this tune. Francis was very happy with this. I don't think anyone else tuned it at the time. It's a queer lot that fortune has brought together round this campfire, from different walks in life in a common quest and desire. To God, butcher, banker, poet, plumber, all the same, so long as ambition is dead and the heart is lit with love's flame. All those things which the world arduously pursues as prizes are be-ribbon baubles of various colors and sizes. As for painted prophets and false teachers, they're manure to the roots of God's saints, and to lovers whose hearts are pure, in one drop of love's wine the wells of the universe swim. Is it not wisdom then to stake one's life on love's whim? There is no affair in the world not settled by coin's toss. At every step one takes, the road forks to profit and loss. To lose love's favor is real loss. To lose the world is real gain. And this is what has drawn us fellows together on this empty plain. So we started in '74 putting we called it tuning, putting the Guzzles to melody. And one of us was much more skilled musically. His name was Saunders. And he had this desire to start at Guzzle 1 and go right through all the 150 Guzzles and put them to melody. He pretty much succeeded before he passed 4 years ago. And and we were not musicians, and so here was this fellow who could play pretty much anything from a very young age. And then various ones of us were influenced to go and study music, which we did locally and then at the Conservatoire in Queensland. And anyway, by the time we got to Guzzle 3, we were singing very complicated music. Even when we went to India in 1973, we presented some Bach and Beethoven and with Barber words. Francis's idea of having traditional and older music was that, as far as he was concerned, reorienting, so to speak, a person's wonderful melody with words for this avatar was a perfectly valid thing to do, and a favour, if not, to the composer. Well, have you called yourself the ocean of mercy? For your shadow the sea has now rejected us, flinging us up on this inhospitable beach, without even the ragged sail which protected us. We know that 1,000 times we have disobeyed you, and 1,000 times you have lovingly corrected us. But it was not that we willfully turned aside, but a sickle shape promising reaping that deflected us. Our greatest error, beloved, was our presumption that out of this teeming world you had selected us to carry your message and sing your songs in the sun. And our secret desire that men respected us. How faithful to you is your shadow, even this sea. Impartially it has judged and rejected us. And so much for the world and the spiritual seeker. Francis was from the school of not asking. And as we know, Bao was from the school of asking. So we have to decide within ourselves when we ask and when we don't ask. This is a melody in our world music influence. We also started looking at musics ourselves, and this is from the Greek tradition. The melody is based on a melody of a revolution by Theodorakis. I dwell in dust and sing. Guzzle 83 from In Dust I Sing. I dwell in dust and sing, and my song is most sweet, for although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat. I would not wish to be less than the seasons which wait their turn, nor than fire hidden in wood to burst into life and burn. I dwell in dust and sing, and my song is most sweet, for although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat. My beloved spins the earth on the tip of one finger. Why should I cry for gifts? He will not forget his singer. They who ask God to fulfill their desires have no faith in faith is to abide the beloved's whim. I hold out my cup for him to fill at his pleasure, now or at world's end, it will be the same full measure. Waiting is easy for me, I spent 1,000,000 years a stone, then millions more shaping my ears to receive song's golden tone. Now my waiting is praising, my praising is sweet, for although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat. Yes, my waiting is praising, my praising is sweet, for although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat. Francis had a time when he was younger where he would have liked to have his poetry to have been accepted by the world before going to India, and tried again and again to have things published. This is ruining this guitar here. To have things published in some works, some book companies, editors and publishers did publish a book in Australia, and he got a couple of publications in magazines in England, but nothing really came of it. And of course, when he came to Baba, he realized that his poetry was for Baba. And this Guzzle, it is from The Beloved Is All in All, Jim Meyer's favourite book also. Sam Saunders also published after Francis passed with poetry that was found that was not in Dust I Sing, mostly. But of course a lot of editing by Francis himself in The Beloved Is All in All. And this reminds me of how Francis thought in the end about the world and fame and seeking anything really but entertaining the beloved. Time was, and not so long ago either, when I sought for reward, I sought for rewards. Now I look on while others take their bow, and the world applauds. My master has taught me that ambition's a pretty bubble. My master has taught me that ambition is a pretty bubble. The fairest edifice today, tomorrow is a heap of rubble. My master has taught me not to trouble about anything, except keeping my heart comfortable and quiet. For there the infant God is sleeping. Stay by my side, he said, when I break my silence, your beloved God will awake, and your dust will sing. I've given away my harvest, I burnt the stubble and replowed. Yeah, I've given away my harvest, I burnt the stubble and replowed. Ready for the seed of his silence and the rain from his grace cloud. Dun ba 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 ba, dun 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 dun, dun ba 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 ba, dun 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 dun. When in his infinite compassion he speaks the renewing word. Oh, when in his infinite compassion he speaks the renewing word. Position trouble about. No, I've nothing further to trouble about. So I remain bowed before him, knowing that the healing of nations and my self-knowledge depend upon his will. Dun, 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 ba, ba, dun, 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 dun. You see, time was, and not so long ago either, when I sought for reward, I sought for reward. Now I look on while others take their bow, and the world applauds. Surrender. When we went back to India in 74 and then 75, Industai Singh had been published, and to Francis's joy and surprise, many of the Americans and English people had also put the Guzzles to melodies. And this is a beautiful melody by Heather Nadel, Guzzle 50 from Industai Singh. It's an interesting Guzzle in that it was probably written in 62, 63, and that has the correct phases of the moon of when Baba passed in 69. I find that interesting. I remember distinctly the beginnings of this love, about which it was easy to make vows so hard to prove. The new moon hung from a blossom-laden apple bough, and eternity hung in the silence of that now. Presently the stars came out and got caught in your hair. Then dawn escaped from your eyes and spread everywhere. Night followed night of dreaming and loving till the month's half closed, when the moon came up and stood on the hill like a yellow rose. You stole from my side sometime during that full moon night. When I awoke, my body was shrouded in white. Gradually the moon waned to a chink in a curtained window, then died, and the dark took over to forever continue. I left my house and orchard, and I came down to the seashore, where my grief can be heard by none above the surf's roar. But I remember distinctly the beginnings of this love, about which it was easy to make vows so hard to prove. Say, Baba, what a beauty. I'll leave the Guzzles for a moment and return to them and go to a remarkable book that we all love. Try and memorize this book. the East-West Gathering. In actual fact, it was Bow that was supposed to take the minutes of the East-West Gathering, and he got too busy. So much was happening. So many groups coming and going, and plane delays, and all sorts of peculiar things. And so Barbara quickly said Francis was to take notes and take the minutes of the East-West Gathering. And so that's the way it went. And afterwards, Barbara said, well, write a book about the East-West Gathering. I want it published as soon as possible. So Francis writes the entire East-West Gathering, and of all things, puts 29 songs in it. And Barbara said, oh, well, sing them to me before we publish. And so he had a session each day singing 4 songs. And so he had to put them to old melodies because he had just had like weeks, at the maximum, I think, a couple of months to write this book, The East-West Gathering. And so we have these delightful songs. We have Francis's versions to Danny Boy, or the Londonderry Air as it's probably called, the Dawn Light Breaks and so on. But then along came David Maotke, finding the East-West Gathering in Chicago, and he put on a whole musical, and he put melodies to every one of them as well. It's surprising how similar some of them are, considering David didn't know that they had already been put to melody. And this is a David Maotke melody to When Israel Was in Misery from the East-West Gathering. When Israel was in misery, Lord Moses broke Egypt's yoke. He did no more than you for me when you, Mehera, in kindness spoke. Mehera, you are my soul's delight, my water brooks and pastures evergreen. I feed among your lilies through the night until the dawn, the rosy dawn is seen. When Prahlad was to pillar bound, and Lord Narayan set him free, he did no more than I have found that you may have done for me. I feed among the lilies white that borrow from your cheek their lovely sheen, while you, Mehera, are ever in my sight. For in this place my heart no foe is seen. When Abraham in fire was thrown, and the Master gave him a charm, his love was no more than you shown, Mehera, in keeping me from harm. The only sound heard through the night is that of waters gentle murmuring keen, in counter melody to my delight, that praises your beauty and truth serene. Francis actually had it to When Israel was in misery, and Lord Moses broke Egypt's yoke. He did no more than you for me when you, Mehera, in kindness spoke. So that's how Barbara would have heard it. There's some exquisite words and poetry and in East-West Gathering. It's a lifetime study within itself. Bill, there's could you on the screen here, my computer, there's a grid come up in the way. If you could just hit OK or whatever it's got to say. Go on, singers, singing, for that is your occupation. And remember that the song is heard by your beloved and yourself. If your song contains your beloved's name, it breaks the locks on the prison gate of life, and you go forth into the singing silence of self-existence. If not, it knocks on the door of another womb, begging another body. Your beloved hears your song, but do not expect it to move him. At most, a raised eyebrow, a spread hand saying, "Ho, my little singer, how bold you have become." But when you're bold enough to have become dust, I will pour wine into the dust's mouth, and then how its tongue will sing. See our beloved seated there on a throne of hearts, his neck garlanded with kisses, his feet washed with the foam of flowers. He listens smilingly to our singing, but he's whetting the urge to sing his own song. Beware. He is plotting a mischief such as never before been done in the world. Oh, but how tired he looks, how weary he seems. The horsemen of destruction gallop along the roads of his love, of his veins, towards the villages of his love. Yet he must restrain the gates of his mercy that would burst open and suffer the outrage in his own flesh. Lend me, my sister, your virgin veil for the night, that I may invite his head upon my breast. Rest, beloved, where flowers are sleeping, my breast kept for yourself alone. Rest, give your pain into my keeping, give me one short night as my own. There is no sound of the world's weeping amidst the lilies of his breast, whose fragrant freshness I've been keeping against the time of your sweet rest. The fanning of the ocean breezes disturbs with love his ringlets now. My soul from prison heart releases to dream upon his lovely brow. Even the night gazes in wonder with all its eyes upon his face. Sleep till the time, love, of the thunder of your great words bestowing grace. A beautiful melody by Lorraine Brown, our darling Lorraine Brown. We all eventually started putting these things to music. This is also from the East-West Gathering. Beautiful images. Now longs the heart for nakedness, and longs the soul to die, and as the least and the finest dust under your feet to lie. For heart tires of its gaudy dress, and the soul has no reply to your sweet love and sweeter trust than beneath your feet to lie. Now longs the heart for emptiness, and soul it would deny itself forever, as it must, under your feet to lie. Then heart will mightily rejoice, and the soul with gladness sigh, at the impress of your feet just as you are passing by. Now longs the heart for nakedness, now longs the heart for nakedness, and longs the soul to die, and as the least and the finest dust, under your feet to lie. Once you get into this book, you can't get out of this book. This is the trouble with this book. And then, of course, The Moon Was Low. Everybody loves The Moon Was Low. The original The Moon Was Low was to an old Mexican tune, La Golondrina, the swallow. See if I can remember it. The moon was low, a silver sickle on a field of blue, when I met you and loved you with a love I could not know would break my heart. All I knew was I would go with you to world's end, for I was your shadow. The night was clear, your eyes were stars within, 2 drops of dew, when I met you and loved you with a love that had no fear, though it broke my heart. All I knew was I would go with you to world's end, for I was your shadow. Mehera, my love, Mehera, my love, Mehera, my love, Mehera, my love. Imagine Baba sitting at Marizad hearing that. And along came a young chap in 1971-72, Les Dupont-Louis, Michaela Fowler's brother, and he put a melody to it, and Francis said, forget the old melody, this is exactly right. The moon was low, a silver sickle on a field of blue, when I met you, when I met you, and loved you with a love I could not know would break my heart, when I met you, when I met you. All I knew was that I would go with you to world's end, for I was your shadow. The night was clear, your eyes were stars within 2 drops of dew, when 'cause I had to bear journey to world's end, should you so choose to steer. Mehera, my love, Mehera, my love. So when Francis met Barbara in America, Francis had already lived in America in 47 and 48. He lived in Fairfax, California, at Rabia Martin's Center, and came to sort of examine this idea that there could be an avatar, and it could be Mea Baba for the Baron von Frankenberg in Australia, who was Francis's teacher. And so he came to America then and was heavily influenced by the Sufi way and the Baba way. And so when he met Baba, Baba told him he had to skedaddle back to Australia after meeting him at the centre and all these things going on, and he had so many days to get back to Australia. In the meantime, to do that, he went down into the Gulf and into New Orleans and heard a lot of African American music, funeral music, marches, blues. And Robert and Lorna Rouse also had a huge collection of blues and African American music. And so Francis borrowed a lot of tunes and do that one in a minute when my voice settles down a bit here. But this tune he did not borrow. Weary, weary man on his way to you, beloved Mayhead, soon to rest at your dear feet, there to rest in the dust and glory. Love, love, man, praising you, beloved Mayhead, soon to see your lovely face, on which to gaze in amaze and glory. Happy, happy man, singing to you, beloved Mayhead, soon to die by your dear grace, soon to die to himself in glory. This is based on a lead belly idea, but all blues singers wrote songs about the 4-day week. They all wanted the 4-day week, not the 7-day week, or like us, the 5-day week, the 8-hour day. Everyone wanted some reprieve from work. Work for the master, work for the boss, work. And so the 4-day week is a famous blues concept that just about every blues singer back in the old days dreamed of equality and a 4-day week. On a Monday, I went out walking. On Tuesday, I stayed home feeling sad. On a Wednesday, I was with my friends a-talking. On Thursday, I gave away all I had. I gave away all I had, and I started hoofing and a-crawling and a-rolling to the feet of God. On a Monday, I was bright as a sparrow. On a Tuesday, I was feeling like a louse. On a Wednesday, though, I spread just like an arrow. And on a Thursday, I arrived at God's house. I arrived at God's house, and I started sweeping with my eyelashes the steps up to his door. On a Monday, the Lord was very kind. On a Tuesday, though, he turned his back on me. And on a Wednesday, he took away my mind. On a Thursday, yeah, his truth he made me see. His truth he made me see, and his form and his beauty and his holiness he made me see. Handsome rider, see what you have done. You made me love you, but you then left me alone. Handsome rider, on your fine white horse riding by, you made me love you, but you then left me to cry. Handsome rider, with your flashing eyes, you made me love you, but you then left me outside paradise. Turning from side to side, like a fish out of water, just turning from side to side, like a fish from the sea. Since you made, you are the ocean, you're infinitely everywhere. Why am I just a leaping and turning, just like a fish tossed up by the shore? just turning from side to side, like a fish out of water. Yeah, turning from side to side, like a fish from the sea. As soon as you may have, my beloved, the soul of my soul, my being. Why am I just a leaping and turning, just like a fish tossed up on the shore? Poor fishy. So this song is a song given to me by somebody who recently departed, and another friend who was very close to him asked me to sing it. So I'll have a go. His name was Jeff Tangway. Many of you there knew him well. He was a famous songwriter of several songs that became major worldwide hits. And he gave me this song in India on a little slip of paper. He told me that he went to the 69 Darshan, and at some point he started focusing on Erich and thought, how on earth is that man doing this? How is he doing this? How is he being so cheerful and being so loving when his whole life since he was a young lad was dedicated to interpreting Meher Baba's words and being beside Meher Baba? And this song came to mind fairly quickly. Thinking thoughts of you, I'm wondering what's left to do, when all I want is to be with you. They say you're still around, and you're easy to be found. So I guess I must be wrong, but I miss you. I always had you there, sitting on your chair. Now you're gone and I'm not there. They say you're still around, and you're easy to be found. So I guess I must be wrong, but I miss you. I see your face everywhere, and I see you standing there, but I reach for you and you're not there. They say you're still around, and you're easy to be found. So I guess I must be wrong, but I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. Beautiful. Simple and beautiful. Right after we got back from India, Francis wrote a 27-scene play called Being is Dying by Loving, and very challenging concepts, very challenging music, and we had done a couple of pieces out of it, not knowing that they belonged to this, in India in '73, and so it consumed us. It consumed us for the entire year after getting back from India, 18 months actually, to put it on in 1974 at the anniversary, June anniversary of Meher Baba's visit to Avatar's Abode. Meher Baba first came to Australia in 1956 to Mehera House in Sydney. Then he came back in 1958 and he had bought a property which Baba said, this is the property, and became Avatar's Abode. And so we have the June anniversary every year of Baba's visit. Anyway, in this Being is Dying by Loving, they're all melodies except one by Francis. One melody is by Tukaram, but all the rest are by Francis. And I just thought to do this song. I'm used to Sam singing it and me doing the recitation, but I'll have a go. And all our coming and going, all our reaping and sowing, is but to gather experience. All our learning and knowing, all our efforts in growing, are but half earn and half pretense. We try and we try, we reap the chance, or it passes us by, and someone we know says, don't cry, don't cry. But sometimes I feel that if I could really cry, God would hear me and tie a love knot around my heart and say, now cry over that. And one day, when your tears have dissolved the knot, I will come again and I will take you to me forever. Then all our coming and going, and all our reaping and sowing, will be done, and our song will be free. Being is Dying by Loving. What a wonderful title. Francis thought to change it at some point, but I still call it what I called it in the beginning. And in Being is Dying by Loving, oh boy, did all our lessons at the Conservatoire need to have been taken seriously. Because there are some tricky and difficult melodies in this piece. I have the original program here, and sure enough, it was indeed 25 scenes with something like 20 very big, very difficult songs. And there were a lot of pieces thrown into the skits and so on as well, and I always felt really Francis had all of these ideas and he put it into Being is Dying by Loving. Being is Dying by Loving starts in the dawn of one day and it finishes in the dawn of the next day. And all these people had this same dream, to go to this beach, to meet one another. And so they arrived at the beach. But Baba wasn't there. And in the dream they'd all simultaneously had he was there. And so they reflect for 24 hours on all that happened. I don't know what it was. He doesn't mention what it was, but there was some sort of end. And they arrived on the beach to meet him and he wasn't there. And they process through song, through skits, through plays, through poetry for 24 hours till they get to the next dawn. Being is dying by loving. This is the song which I the dawn am singing. Awake, arise for love's dear sake. Awake and sing. Song after song, quite enormous songs, and we noticed that the Mandali really liked these songs from this piece and realized that they had been done over the years, and we had taken some of them to India with us, and I just like to try and, it's obviously not in this section, so I will try and find it somewhere else here. The place to find it, of course, will be in the good books. When Francis was very sick at the end, one day he asked me to go find the good book. And I'm thinking, the good book, and I'm looking up at all the books above his bed, and I suddenly just reached for Van Doren's Book of World Poetry, and he actually told me the page to turn to, and it was Rafferty's poem in that book. So I call them the good books. We sang this song in 1973 as a group. Sing along. Mehera, all the world is crying your dear name, crying with joy your name. Each voice is a lovely opening flower in the shape of your name. Mehera, God, perfect man, Mehera, love's great touching span, from beyond to our dust bowl, from earth back to our final goal. The most ancient one, the most present one, the most gentle one, the most loving one, he who infinitely cares, he who dries all our tears and makes the sun of love shine in our hearts. Mehera, all the world is sighing for your feet, sighing to kiss your feet. Each voice is a wandering breeze, seeking rest at your feet. Mehera, God, perfect man, Mehera, love's great marching span, from beyond to our dust bowl, from earth back to our final goal. The most ancient one, the most present one, the most gentle one, the most loving one, he who infinitely cares, he who dries all our tears and makes the sun of love shine in our hearts. Mani and Mehera would request this song quite often. Beautiful song. In this play, Francis wrote a song for me, and called House in the Rain. Sing along, please. But let me read the preface to this song and give my shoulder a break. House in the Rain. When we had lost the knowledge of pure song, and the experience of nearness, and had cut ourselves off from the bounty of God, we built temples and formulated rituals in order to obtain fulfillment of our desires. And for each desire satisfied, 10 more raised their heads and stretched out their hands for a share of the sacrifices. God had made the heart a place where he and the human soul could meet in divine love play. But now he could find no place in any heart, for all were filled with wants. And God is too shy to enter even his own house when it has become filled with strangers. After having your friendship, beloved, I brought strangers into my house again. And when you came and found my house full of drunken riot, your face was marked with pain, and now the trees cry for your gentle rain, and the mountains are shrouded in haze. The clouds come and pass away again, and none can scarcely breathe through the long days. What will happen to this land, beloved, if you do not free me from my blame? It will become a desert where nothing stirs, no birds sing and none repeats your name. I will sing with joy your lovely name. Drive out these strangers who have brought me shame, and you will come into my house again, and send throughout this land your healing rain. So in the end, Felix Schmidt sang this song very beautifully, and in the play, and I will tell you the end of the play. O sun in splendor, rising over the brim of my heart's flowing cup, each glistening wine drop is a rainbow, singing victory, beloved, victory to you. When such a radiant morning is born from so dark a night, when such a radiant morning is born from so dark a night, how keen will be our seeing when of you we have full sight, and we have lost ourselves in plodding over this fair land that has nurtured me, and every wine drop is a shining shield, emblazoned victory, beloved, victory to you. Beloved, when such a radiant morning is born from so dark a night, when such a radiant morning is born from so dark a night, how keen will be our seeing when of you we have full sight, and we have lost ourselves in your loving light, your all-pervading light. So after the men had processed everything they could think of over 27 scenes, suddenly Baba appeared on the beach. And it turned out he'd been there all along. But they hadn't processed everything, they hadn't gone over everything, and he was there in their hearts all along. And he met them there on the beach. So Francis's own background was classical music. In actual fact, he'd tried for a long time there to study classical music and piano. And at pretty much the same time as he was quite a respected folk artist, I suppose you would call it. It had a genre name. And you know, 1 minute it would be when I first entered this street, which is called Love Street, and the next thing it would be a great big song like this song you had to study for many years to sing, O Sun and Splendor. Anyway, when I was studying, I think I should think of something here. When I was studying at the Conservatoire, for some reason I constantly got put in French song, but mostly in German song. Leader. I suppose because I had a fine soprano voice that could also flip up to coloratura if I needed it, which no one really needs. But anyway, speak up a little bit. I'm just getting a bit thirsty. I was the chaiwala. Well, several people were the chaiwala, but I seemed to be the main chaiwala that was always taking notes, or chaiwala in Avatar's Abode. It's quite a skill to make hot chai on the spot for 2 or 3 people or 23 people. Anyway, while I was at the Conservatoire of Music, I was studying these complicated songs. So we would go from simple little songs like these two. When I first entered this street, which is called Love Street, I expected that love would be easy to meet. Now I I have wandered for many lifetimes, it seems. And I wonder if love's tales are a dreamer's dreaming. Softly I call him by his dear name. Softly I call him by his dear name. And if the stars on high fall from their place and die, my heart will light the night from its pure flame. Yet still I wander about in this street called Love Street, ceaselessly roaming up and down, hoping to meet, love, the beautiful one for whom lifetimes it seems, I have been searching, oh, but dreaming dreams, Softly I call him by his dear name. Softly I call him by his dear name. And if the stars on high fall from their place and die, my heart will light the night with its pure flame. So I was learning the French version of Plaisir d'amour. I had sort of learnt it really off the Joan Baez album in the first place. Francis got a little bit annoyed with her that she didn't put the bridge in the middle, and so he didn't like my French accent, and he actually felt singing in other languages was fine, you know, sort of, but you really had to comprehend both languages for it to go to the heart. You should sing in your own native tongue. So he gave me Baba words for a birthday present in one of the years there, 75 or 76, I think. Is this a good time to sing this? Mehera Baba, beloved of my soul, journey and journey's end and love's sweet goal. What heaven it would be to sit at your white feet and feel your tender regard protecting me. Mehera Baba, beloved of my soul, journey and journey's end and love's sweet goal. Oh, for such times when tears gentle rain would wash away the memory of life's pain, and I would glance and hold out my cup for you to fill, that your sweet pleasure and will. Mehera Baba, beloved of my soul, journey and journey's end and love's sweet goal. Jai Baba. I wrote a selection of Mehera songs starting in 1977, and when Mehera passed, this came to mind. I hear your footfall, but they tell me that it's no longer audible. Oh, but Mehera, I heard your footfall. I hear your bell-like laughter, but they tell me that it's no longer here. Oh, but Mehera, I heard your laughter. I hear your bangles jingling, but they tell me those subtle colors are gone. Oh, but Mehera, I heard your bangles. Those memories no time span ever can erase. Your beauty, devotion, nothing can replace, nothing will erase, nothing can replace, nothing will erase. I hear your footfall, but they tell me that it's no longer audible. Oh, but Mehera, I heard your footfall. Those memories no time span ever can erase. Your beauty, devotion, nothing can replace, nothing will erase, nothing can replace, nothing will erase, nothing can replace, nothing will erase. Sam Saunders was quite a master writer himself, and as I said, tuned so many guzzles that we have like 150 guzzles in our heads all the time, us people that sang with him at Abode's Abode. We were called the Abode's Abode singers, and then various ones of us got good enough to branch out as solos, and then Francis would give us songs. When my daughter was born, I really, her being trisomy 21 and the shock of it all, I wondered if I'd be able to sing again. And I lived here by then, and I mentioned this to Sam on the phone, and he sent me a collection of songs. And the one that got me going again was called Franieta's song. Pure love, I wind my way, on a road no distance knows, only today, and far behind is yesterday, from the stars and their dreams, till the wind brought to my lips the clear song of the name of Mehera. Farewell, old ancient world, I feel so young, a swift glance, my heart is hung. Far behind is yesterday, from the stars and their dreams, till the wind brought to my lips the clear song of the name of Mehera. I go to his lovely feet. On a hopelessness alone, I place my trust, I place my trust. My destination lies in the dust, in the dust. And far behind is yesterday, from the stars and their dreams, till the wind brought to my lips the clear song of the name of Mehera. Recently, amongst this collection that he sent me, I realized there was a song I hadn't learnt, I hadn't focused on, called Franieta's Lullaby. So here is a new song written in 1980, Franieta's Lullaby. And Franieta's probably listening, I hope. The great yellow sun went down with a sigh, and now the stars are showing. For one has gone and another comes by to keep his song a-flowing. But I've been told that we never will hear Baba's song unless we're very, very still. As still as the mountains and the fields of the night and the moonlight. For Mehera made the stars, the heavens and the earth. He made each thing that's living too. He filled them with happiness and filled them with mirth. He did it just especially for you. So hush, little baby, and don't you fear. All through the night he is very, very near. So close your eyes tight, you may hear him singing in the moonlight. I love lullabies. So many songs that Sam has written, it's hard to pick a selection. One of the songs we sang when we first went to India was, you might remember, Sing Along. If Dana's there, she can sing along. Thank you, Mehera, for meeting us here. Thank you, Mehera. Now's the time in your infinite song when we must sing. You are the one whom we have been constantly seeking. Now we are here with you, Mehera. We who cherish your name in our hearts praise you, Mehera. Praise your lovely name until the day we can serve you and lay our minds and hearts in the dust that you walk through. Victory to you, Mehera Baba. when I got into Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir, I realized how many of the gospel songs crossed over to, how similar rather to Baba's life. And this one especially leapt out at me. Good night, the Lord's coming, with the passage to Gethsemane of Jesus. So I would sing it and transpose Baba's life into it. Good night, the Lord's coming. Good night, the Lord's coming. Good night, the Lord's coming. Knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. He dropped his body at Meherazad, he dropped his body at Meherazad, he dropped his body at Meherazad, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. They wrapped him in a white sadra, they wrapped him in a white sadra, they wrapped him in a white sadra, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. They took his body to Meherabad, they took his body to Meherabad, they took his body to Meherabad, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. Thousands came on 31st, yeah, thousands came on 31st, thousands came on 31st, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. Padri packed him in ice, Padri, he packed him in ice, yeah, Padri, he packed him in ice, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. Seventh day, buried his body, seventh day, buried his body, seventh day, buried his body, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. Samadhi, here for mankind, a samadhi, here for mankind, a samadhi, it's here for mankind, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. Bow down, blue Sanskaras, bow down, blue Sanskaras, bow down, blue Sanskaras, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 Lord, down. Say good night, the Lord's coming, good night, the Lord's coming, good night, the Lord's coming, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming, knocking at the door flew open and the love comes streaming down, 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 down. Oh, so many of them fit in nicely. Mehera, Mehera, oh, what a wonderful child. Mehera, how sweet Mehera. He's so holy, but look out, so wild. New life, new hope, and all he brings. Listen to the angels sing, they sing in our glory, glory, glory to the new born King. He was heralded by the angels, born in a town called Pune. Shireen, she was his lovely mother, and Shariaji, he was his holy father. By perfect masters they blessed him from afar, for they were guided to bring down the avatar, to help the world in the Kali. You can hear his silence, it's louder than words. Mehera, sweet Mehera, oh, wonderful child. Mehera, our darling Mehera. He's so holy, look out, though so wild. New life, new hope, and all he brings. Listen to the angels sing, they sing in our glory, a glory, glory to the new king. So to finish up, I would like to, I don't know what, find something interesting, perhaps a guzzle. Let's try for a guzzle. Oh no, there was that nice sad song. We don't want to close on a sad song. There's thousands of songs. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows like he does. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. I'll be brave. I'll do something new. Well, not new, something I'm not game to do. The promise from being is dying by loving. Is it? No, from In Dust I Sing. It was written for me and sent to me, and I refound it. It's very interesting guzzle from Francis. You'll hear what I mean. A couple of the chords I can't play, so I'll just drop out when I can't play them. The promise that was in tomorrow's is fulfilled tonight. The promise that was in tomorrow's is fulfilled tonight. Your face is the true form of the one eternal light. I wander in the cool valleys behind your eyelashes, and along the white beats of your cheek, which the night caresses. I walk through the laden apple orchard of your breath, and hang on your brow's precipice between life and death. Your eyes hide the light that the suns worship without cease. Your breast is my tumult of waters and utter peace. This kiss is the now of all past and future tendernesses. The veil of the temple is rent, and your beauty all men blesses. The wind outside is the voices of lovers in peril, for their promised tomorrows this night will not fulfill. The line and hue of your lips is reflected as the dawn. I died during the night, and now I find I am reborn. Incredible imagery in it. You know, I'll have to do it more and get above it, but you're wandering along the cool valleys of his cheeks, and you're hiding behind his eyelashes, and you walk in the apple orchard of his breath, and you hang on his brow's precipice, and his eyes hide the suns without cease. Magnificent imagery in this Guzzle from In Dust I Sing, page 91. And so, as I say, I'd like to close with something. I'll just open the book randomly, and that's what we'll close with. That is, if I like what I open it to. Well, that's interesting, because I had a request for this from Shrivastava's daughter. The Crystal Gale song. He is beautiful to me, and in my wildest dreams did I ever dream that he would come to me. Now I was lost, but I have found true heaven through his love, and comfort knowing he is so beautiful to me. He's the key to the door of joy never ending. He's the light, he's the way, and without him I'd say I can't go on. For he is beautiful to me. He gives me so much love without thinking of what he gets from me. He's the round with no end. He's life everlasting. He's a friend, he's a king, and to him I will bring all I have, and I will love him till I die. And even then I know his love will grow and grow. He's so beautiful to me. He's so beautiful to me. He's so beautiful to me. Jai Baba. The trouble is my eyes fell to the other side of the book, and Mummy B might be watching, and so we have to close with a bow song. Oh moon, oh moon, oh moon, you are and will be, Mehera you shine in me. Everything is in your hand. You hold all the world's keys, and everything and everyone you can always see, always see. Mehera you shine in me, oh Mehera you shine in me. Oh moon, oh moon, oh moon, you accepted me as your slave, and I am fortunate but for your embrace. How long must I wait? My prayer, hear my Mehera, dear, come and be with me, be with me. Mehera you shine in me, oh Mehera you shine in me. Oh moon, oh moon, oh moon, my heart is broken and I can't bear the pain, but worth living is this life, and loss is really gain, and this pain, it makes me love you more. It even makes me happy, so happy. Mehera you shine in me, oh Mehera you shine in me. Oh moon, oh
Baba ki jai. Jai Baba Raine. Thank you so much.